And it's so much of it is conditioning. A lot of the beliefs and also a lot of the points of view that are creating your life that you don't even know are there. Like you're going, how is it that I just cannot have any ease in relationship? How much conditioning have you had over your life that is in place that doesn't allow you to go beyond it?
Welcome to Separate Bathrooms, a brand new year.
It is 2022, season something or another. I forgot what season we're up to.
A new episode. We don't know what season we're in anymore.
A new season, and we're excited.
We've blended. Got a great conversation for you today. I'm very curious about this one.
Yeah, a little different. We have a couple who are no longer a couple. Simone, Milasas and Brendon Watt. They're Australian relationship experts. They've co-authored the relationship book called Relationship. Are you sure you want one? And they're also co-founders of the Relationships Done Different program.
Yeah, they were a couple for 8 years. They broke up right when they were releasing their co-authored book, as Ali said, Relationship, Are You Sure You Want One? You can imagine the publicist.
Yeah.
The publishers going, what? You're breaking up.
Here they are launching their book and they've just broken up. You know who else did this? One of my favourite authors is Glennon Doyle Melton. Actually, I think she's Glennon Doyle now. She wrote Love Warrior. And it was all about getting back with her husband after the affairs and working through therapy. And now they're back together again as a family of 5. And as that book launched, she met Abby Wambach and fell in love with a woman as she was launching her book about how she got together with her husband.
Okay.
And it reminds me of a similar timing of that. I mean, how crazy is that?
And note to self, let's not write any books about relationships because I want ours to stay together.
Got it.
Okay?
Yep. Simone she was on the receiving end of the breakup and apparently initially gutted, and we're going to hear all about that. But they use the same tools that they use to create a relationship. They also use to uncreate it, which I think is so fabulous. And they've got an amazing working relationship.
Let's welcome them into the bathroom, Simone, Milasas and Brendon Watt. We're covering all aspects of relationships on Separate Bathrooms, and yours is a piece of the pie that we've never actually dealt with, and that is being in a relationship, going through a separation, a divorce, and staying in a relationship, and how that works.
Not just the separation and doing it like that as well. It was in the spotlight. Like we did it. We work for a major company that's got hundreds of thousands of people on the database. So we're constantly speaking with a lot of people. And also we chose to do it right when we released the book. So we were doing media with, I remember we did one I think it was in Dallas, and it was for Fox News. So it was this, it was this big thing. And we both walk in there and the lady introduced us as, these guys are relationship experts, but how is it that your relationship broke up right when you released the book? So it was pretty, I guess, intense like that. There was a lot of different things around it of, well, you mustn't know that much about relationship if you've released a book, but then you've broken up.
So, Simone, did you find that people got angry on your behalf because of the breakup?
Yes, absolutely. There was a lot of people that I had to talk to about them, especially even our PR agent and close friends. They were like devastated that our relationship had broken up. And I get that a lot of their point of view was, if Simone and Brendon are breaking up, then where am I? Like, how am I in a great relationship? Because in truth, we did have a great relationship, but we had a great relationship for about 7 years. And the last year was like, it was like this maintaining, that's why we actually chose to break the relationship up. Well, actually, Brendon chose to break the relationship up, and I definitely did that. Oh my God, the freak out. And then when I looked at it, I went, oh, he's actually smart. He knows what he's doing. But I guess there was like this utopian ideal of relationship that we were creating that others were looking at and trying to use us as a reference point. So when the relationship did break up, I was consoling others, and I was like, this is not the position I would be in.
Was that a surprise to you?
that Brendon broke up the relationship.
No. We'll get to that. No, that aspect that you just said, that you were consoling others about the breakup of your relationship.
It was. And to tell you the truth, the thing that it made me aware of and I realized was I had this. Like I was bigger. I could sort of like leap over this hurdle and go, I know there's something beyond this. But to educate other people that there's something beyond this as well. And I think our society is so entrained that relationship is the right choice rather than just a choice. So when that gets, destroyed, it's like, I was shocked that I was the one that had to console people. But if anything, it made me become greater. It made me get over stuff quicker, is what I want to say.
Yeah, I would imagine it would make you more self-reflective in that way because you're sort of watching other people have other emotions about your experience. It's like, well, what's my feeling really in all of this?
Yeah, that you can really be present with what's going on. And because I think a lot of the times too, if something is up in our life, we tend to look at others to console us. And in truth, you've got you. And if you have you and you're able to get through anything in life, with contribution from others when it's required, but not leaning on that, not making that a necessity. I think the choice to choose for you is one of the greatest potencies in the world.
Brendon, did you get some hate sent your way for the breakup?
Not so much straight out, but I could definitely perceive it with people. Like there was a lot of friendships that Simone and I, we had a lot of the same friends and still do, but there was a lot of, well, what do I do? Do I take Simone's side or do I take Brendon's side? And
sure.
So it was very interesting. I'd say the first probably at least 6 months with that, but like Simone was saying, that thing with the utopian ideal, there's such a fairy tale attached to relationships, and especially ours. Like I said, it was in the spotlight, so people look to us as the perfect picture of relationship. They saw us, and we did have a great one. And so when it broke up, people were I think they were more shocked than anything, and it broke something in their world where they thought, well, we have something to look up to, or it was kind of like an extreme comparison, something that I don't even know how to compare it, but something that somebody really looks up to is no longer there. It's like they just go into shock.
Can I add something though? Because what I noticed, Brendon, is because I guess, like you said, that we're in the public eye within our industry, I think one thing that occurred is there were so many females that went, oh, he's now available.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. That's actually true as well, which was another interesting thing. It was like, we had, it's funny now talking about it. I guess we haven't talked about it in a little bit, but, there'd be so many people going, oh my God, Brendon would be the perfect guy to be with. And I'd be like, no, I wouldn't. You have no idea about me. From the outside, he facilitates, people around the world. He looks fine. He's, he dresses great. But all of these different things. So I ticked so many boxes, but it's like they didn't know all of the other things about me. So once again, it was like that was a very interesting energy to be aware of.
Can I ask you, was there a moment for you that you knew you could no longer be with Simone in that particular way? And what was it? What did it look like? What did it feel like?
I think it was one of those things where it just started with like a niggle, where it was like, this is something that I need to start looking at. Like the energy was definitely present, and it stopped being that generative and creative energy that Simone and I so brilliantly had and have a lot more of together now. That started being, and we just start having like these niggles together, and we started basically trying to maintain our relationship together. And I think it was probably 6 months or so before it that it was it started becoming present. And I look at it now, and to be honest with you, I would have done it completely different. Like I didn't want to hurt Simone or do any of those things, but in the meantime kept a lot from her. And like if I had my time over now, I would have definitely stood up to it a lot more and went, hey, you know what, this has stopped working for me, and been a lot more honest. But I don't have my time over, so that's taken a lot to build our friendship. That's taken a lot of honesty and a lot of being that with each other now to have what we have now.
So are you saying that you would have been more direct with her or earlier?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, okay. And a lot more honest. Like I wasn't upfront with a lot of things, and and I would have talked to her about a lot of things because that's what we built our relationship on. But we do this weird thing when it comes to, I don't want to hurt somebody's feelings or something like that, like with withholding things rather than just going, okay, I'm going to be honest about this, honest with myself. And I think that was the bigger thing for me, was I wasn't willing to be honest with myself. So definitely didn't allow me to be honest with her.
And did you have any sense, Simone, that there was something in the offing with Brendon, or came out of the blue for you?
And in hindsight, yes. But I would have said it came out of the blue. But it was interesting, Cameron, when you asked that question as well. And I've never actually said this out loud to Brendon or anyone. But when you said, when I look at it, it's like we actually had a pretty good sex life. And if you look at the end of when we had sex, it wasn't as great. It was sort of like getting the job done rather than actually, an exploration. And to me, that was one of the key elements. Like, I don't know if you remember, Brendon, but in Costa Rica, just before we did break up, I remember having sex at the hotel and walking to the bathroom and thinking, wow, I haven't seen him in ages. And that's how we played together. So in hindsight, yes, there was things that showed up that I was aware of, but I also wasn't truly willing to look at that and actually being questioned and go, oh, well, have we done what we were meant to do together? To be really brutally honest with myself as well. So I'm grateful that he's the one that actually broke up. Like, there's so many things that we've done, spoken to people in media and that, and they go, oh, you get on so well, will you get back together? And we're like, no, I adore him and I know he adores me, and that's not the road we're going down anymore. So, yeah, so I would say, yes, I was aware, but not really willing to admit it either.
Yeah. What is it, do you feel, this is a question for both of you, about relationships that keep us still searching for better ways to be together? I mean, you've got your program called Relationships Done Different, but is it just part of human nature that we just keep on wanting to know more, and how and where and when?
A lot of it has to do with we keep trying to get our lives right, and we buy into so many ideals. With relationship is a big one. Like, that's a big one here on this planet. It's just like, you have to have a relationship. Like, I remember growing up, that was one of the key elements. If you don't have that, there is something terribly wrong with you. So that, for me, it was always like, that was one of those things that you have to tick that box. But, and then we have so many ideas of what that relationship should be like. So before we've even started it, we have projections and expectations through the roof about what that person should fulfill in our lives. And usually what it is, well, what I've seen a lot is, usually it's not even our point of view. Like, for me, what I've discovered a lot, like, I only really started getting present with something recently in my life, that one of the big pieces for me was that I just wanted somebody to take care of me. Basically, that was a relationship, but not willing to be really present with that. So having that expectation there, though, so with that also, it's really hard to be in a relationship where you can actually receive the gift that somebody is, when you have an expectation of them, because all you can do is take. And I've been looking at this lately and I went, wow, and like getting present with it. And I realized that for me, that was what I saw my mum doing, as a kid. And I actually did a video on it, which was interesting. I did a video the other day and sent it, out to the world. And my mum actually called me and she said, thank you so much for that. She said, I just watched your video. And she said, what I realized that I bought that off my mother too. And she goes, and I feel so much different now. And I was like, what a gift, because it truly is breaking the chain.
Yeah. Well done to your mum to
Yeah.
be able to accept that. That takes a lot for a parent to be able to recognize and own that.
Yeah. And it's those things, like if we're willing to get present in our lives, it's one thing like that. Like I know for me, that one thing, which you would go, oh, blah, blah, whatever. For me, that was a big piece to having a lot more freedom in my life. So, I think there's a lot of that stuff there with people with relationships where they get into them basically and then, 2, 3, 5, 10 years later, that they're like, you're not doing everything that I've expected you to do. Why not? You should be better at this. What is your problem?
And I would say, like I was going to say exactly the same thing at the beginning. I think people are trying to get it right. And the reason why we called our book Relationship, Are You Sure You Want One? And put it into a question is because we really desired people to get it's okay whatever you choose. And I see people do this like, oh, I've made the right choice because I'm in a relationship. And then they also do, oh, I'm making the right choice because I'm single. And it's like, what if neither of them is right and it's just a choice? So you don't choose something based on a necessity. It's your life is a choice. And so I think people try and head down that right road. But then your question also, I think, involves people like yourselves. It's like if you've been married for 30 years, but you're not assuming that every day is going to be, this bed of roses. And it starts, I see a lot of relationships that start sort of heading downhill because it's more about a maintenance and not about creation. And I think it's really great when you've got people like yourselves who after 30 years are not just accepting this and going, okay, so what else can we add here? What else can we explore with the relationship? Like, is this still working for us? And what else would we like to add? Because one of the things that we talk about is if you're going to be in a relationship, if you're going to choose it, what if your life was at least 20 times greater because you were with that person? And so many times I see people start to cut themselves off. Like the amount of relationships that we've spoken to where, I don't know, like the man used to surf all the time and then he stopped surfing, or the woman liked doing something and she stopped doing that because her partner wasn't doing it. And it's like, no, what if you were continuously empowering your partner to go, hey, if you would like to do this, go off and do it. It's not my gig, but you go off and do it and have so much fun. And I always noticed with Brendon and myself when we did that, and then you come back together and you were just like, hi. And it was like wonderful to see this person rather than having to have that need and that necessity. Like I think the needy energy, no one likes that.
Yeah.
So I think the exploration of creating something greater, awesome. And not trying to get it right and choosing a relationship just so that you can be right.
Yeah, beautifully said.
We had a person assisting us in Los Angeles, and she would often talk about this idea of you choose every day to be in the marriage, and you wake up and you go, yep, I'm making a choice every day. And with this, you've both said it, this maintaining and not creating, this idea. Can you just explain that a bit more for me? I mean, obviously, is that just maintaining the relationship? And when you say creating, what are you actually referring to there? What does that mean?
So I would say the maintaining is when you become really complacent with what is. I mean, it could be as mundane as who does the cooking, who does the dishes, who's putting the bin out, like who's doing all that. And it becomes this, rather than being in question, like, hey, is this actually working? Like, or is there a part? I mean, to me, a relationship it's almost like a business deal as well. It's like, hey, if we don't like doing this, like at one stage, Brendon's very good handy. Like he's a good handyman, right? And we needed some stuff done in the house. And, there's only so many times you can go, hey, honey, like, And so what I did was I went and hired a handyman. And Brendon went, what are you doing? And I went, well, we need all this stuff done. So I just thought I'd hire a handyman. And he was like, but I could do it. And I was like, yeah, but, I saw this a cartoon on Facebook once when the guy he goes, I'm going to get to it. Stop nagging me every 6 months. And I was like, I don't want it to be us. I want to create something different. So it was really refreshing because I hired a handyman, jobs were done, and then we got to hang out. And the energy between us was completely different because it was like, hi, So I get being in question every day. And I love that, every single day asking, does this relationship work for me? And I don't mean you go, okay, I quit, I'm out of here. And I did ask that like a lot, because at one stage in our relationship, Brendon hated doing what he was doing. And I said, look, I'm making enough money. Why don't you stop doing what you're doing and give yourself some space and find out what it is that you want to do in life? So we did. And it was about 18 months that he would but he would look after the home and everything. Like, he was fabulous cook, amazing cook. So he would like be cooking, I'd be working. I love doing what I'm doing, he's doing this. And the projections that we got were of him being, you know, this kept man and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, right.
Hey, we had to go, does this work? And I was like, yeah, it's a contribution. And I think you get that energy of, this person is contributing to me. I'd much rather sit on my computer at night when Europe's awake working and with people with a glass of wine while he's cooking this amazing meal. That worked for us. So I think you need to keep looking at what else to add and what else is going to create something greater. And the creation, I do see a lot of people misidentify that. They think, oh, if I'm creating with this person, that means we have to do everything together. And it's like, no, even that story I just told of him making this, you know, amazing meal, and then me, you know, sitting there working and earning the money. And then we did renovations on the house that we bought too. And he organized all of that. That was creating together. That's how I look at that. Like, I was bringing in the money. He was organizing how everything else looked. Like, he was like, we actually called it the CFO, the Chief Financial Officer of our relationship. But it didn't mean we were together all the time doing everything together. It was a constant, you know, that contribution to our relationship and the growth of it.
You broke up. It's been such a positive experience, which I think is so fabulous to tell that story. I mean, what is the right way to break up? What is the good way to break up? What are your tips on how to do that in a positive way?
Well, we in the very early stages, like right when we were breaking up, we were actually having a conversation with a friend, and he said, okay, so go and write down 3 things each that you would still like the other person to be in your life. And we went and did it and came back, and both of us at the top of our list was friendship. And so we knew that we both desired that, which is definitely a start. Because if you've got one person going, you know what, I'd really like to keep you in my life, and the other person's going, get away, I hate you, that's not going to work. So we both had a very similar target, and also, you know, we both knew the relationship had ended, but we worked together. Plus, we had built really a really close friendship. So it took time, but a lot of vulnerability, a lot of honesty, a lot of like getting the trust again, and a lot of things. And it's like, I would say now, you know, it's been, I don't know, how long has it been?
3 years.
3 years?
Yeah.
We have something very different, and I know that it's, speaking from my point of view, I know it's unbreakable. I know that it's something that we, like, Simone has my back, without a doubt. I don't doubt that at all, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't doubt that with me. And it's like, but that takes some serious courage and a lot of vulnerability.
And can I want to add though too, there was definitely rocky moments, like, you know, when he broke up the relationship as well. I said I did do that, you know, freak out thing. Oh my God. And I got so angry and everything. And then that's where the courage comes in to actually look at what's actually truly going on. And I remember I was like not sleeping, and I was so angry, and I was like, God, this is not creating anything greater. And I said to Brendon, we were in a mutual place, and I said, hey, do you want to go have a drink together? Because I said, I don't want to be angry anymore. It's hard work, and I don't want to do this. And I did do that. I'm taking the house, you know, like I reacted. So, and he was like, okay, like he was so sweet about it. And because we had created a lot of wealth together as well, like in different areas, like, you know, whether it's real estate or stocks or etc. And we were like, okay, split this up, you know, and we played that. And then we both, that's the courage. That's that moment where we looked at each other and went, okay, the relationship is broken up. Do we have to break this up as well? What's the choice that's honoring for both of us? So we still have some investments together as well. I think there's different aspects of the relationship that you can choose to keep. And those moments when you do get really angry, it's not going to create anything greater. Like there was even this ring that my dad had passed away, and my dad adored Brendon, like absolutely adored him. And Brendon had this ring, and I even did that thing of going, you know, I want Dad's ring back. And we sat down at this, we were in Italy at a castle that we're co-owners of, and we're at lunch, and we sat down, and Brendon gave me the ring back. And I looked at the ring, and I could just perceive the energy of my father as well. And I looked at Brendon, and I went, you know what, the ring's yours, and gave it back to him. And a mutual friend of ours saw, I didn't think anyone was watching, but he saw and he said, that is one of the sweetest things I've ever seen. It was just this, like, my dad loved you. You had a relationship with Dad. That's not, you know, like, don't try and pull those cards out of the trauma and drama. It doesn't get you anywhere. But that's the courage that Brendon's talking about. You got to go, okay, how strong am I to know that I can be all of me with this?
I've found that with our relationship, when we've gone through tough things, it's like moving to the next paddock. You go through it and you move into the next paddock, and with a bit, with more depth and more love, you know. And there's been times where I've thought, oh, man, this is too hard. Maybe this is too hard. Maybe we should just walk away. And then, but experience has taught me that, hang on, go through it, see what's there, and in every case, it's been a deeper love and a deeper gratitude for Elle.
Yep.
So what are the signs then that you should break up?
I'm going to state a really obvious one, is when you're not excited to see them. Like, I remember when we were in a relationship that was great, and I'd, you know, come home and I'd drive home and I'd see his truck in the driveway, and you'd be like, yes, he's home, you know, to the point where I noticed afterwards when you drive home and the truck's in the driveway and you go, oh, damn, like,
oh, boring.
Wow. It's like, well, no, but it's like when I was seeking to be more on my own, then that just absolute thrilling excitement to see someone. I think that's a really small sign, but you know. I remember just before we did break up, I was in Argentina, and I can't remember where you were, Brenda, but we met in Costa Rica. And that was like, I was excited to see Brendon, but I also realized I was like more pretending to be excited too, if I look back at it. And then I noticed when I walked in the hotel room, because that's where we met, that his enthusiasm wasn't there. And that was undeniable. And I think you know that when that undeniable energy is there, when somebody else is not ready to see you. Because I still remember like going on trips and coming back and seeing him, and the way he would just grab me and kiss me, you were just like, oh, it was like so nice to see this other being that was in your life. You know the difference. You know.
What are you thinking?
Oh, well, I'm thinking about long term when you're in a 30-year marriage. That's it's not that I don't know if I'm like, I still get it. I'm still happy to see you. I don't have that like butterfly in the tummy, oh my God feeling. He's home. And I'm like, oh God, am I in trouble?
That's what I was thinking. I'm looking
You're
at you over
thinking the
there,
same thing.
hearing this going, oh shit. So I get it. 30 years is a long time.
Yeah.
So you temper those expectations.
But I still get excited about knowing when we've got a date set up. I get really excited that we've got a date to go to. Like I know, you know, just thinking about, okay, we've got a dinner tomorrow night, and I get really excited about it. So I'm like, the thrill is still there, honey. The thrill is definitely
covered that well. Good. Yeah.
going to my pond.
Yeah, good. That was a good
Food, the
I know.
restaurant, wine.
Do you both believe in happily ever after, or is it a bill of goods we've been sold as a fairy tale? Can it exist?
I would say it's a bill of goods being sold as a fairy tale, and that's that maintaining. Oh, now I've found my happily ever after, and I'm good. I don't have to worry about creating it. And I would say we get sold that in not only as kids, but like even now, if you look at social media, you'll see the perfect relationship on there until you meet them. And then they're horrifying because, you know, they don't have allowance for each other. They certainly don't trust each other. They don't have any vulnerability. And it's like, oh, so am I just asking for some image of perfection that doesn't actually exist, which is what we learn a lot rather than, so the happily ever after, I would say to people, go for happy today, and then what space does that create in your world to create tomorrow?
I love that. Just as you've touched on, particularly, I was going to say, I can't really speak from the perspective of boys, but I know, I'm sure you understand this too, Simone. As a girl, you grow up on the Cinderella stories. You grow up on the being rescued and the man comes in and swoops you off your feet and that's your happily ever after. And there's such a storyline that we're told in books, in movies, that it is the woman, the passive role of being swooped up and, he's your one and he completes you. And that's, that can be a hard one to unwind, as you were saying, Brendon, because if you've grown up from kids onward, it's
Yep.
find that equality in the relationship particularly, but also, find the one is meant to, you are the one, not the other partner is the one. You're the ones first. But we're not taught that. We're not taught that from a young age, and we're certainly seemingly not taught it as an adult either.
Yeah, true story. And it's so much of it is conditioning.
Yeah.
And which is one of the things I love about the access consciousness tools and the relationship done different stuff that we do is removing a lot of that conditioning and a lot of the beliefs and also a lot of the points of view that are creating your life that you don't even know are there. Like you're going, how is it that I just cannot have any ease in relationship? Or, how is it I just have I just cannot create money, or whatever it is, those things that just stick you. Well, how many points of view or how much conditioning have you had over your life that is in place that doesn't allow you to go beyond it? Like with the fairy tale thing, it's like you said, how many, the Cinderella story tale is like, just wait for them. They will come and sweep you off your feet. And once that man on a white horse rides up and sweeps you away, then you're going to have a perfect life.
Yep.
Everything will be happily ever after, and it's going to be wonderful. Yeah, and it's wonderful for the first 8 weeks until you realize you still have to create. And then you're like, now I'm miserable again.
Yeah.
What happened?
Yeah.
Guys, it's been amazing having you here today. I do want to finish up with 3 top tips from each of you about what would your 3 top tips for couples be?
That's a good one.
I would say, number one, be an allowance of the person you're with. I always say, if you want to train someone, get a puppy. Like, you can't train your partner, okay? Be an allowance. Choose what works for you in the sense of, is there something that you haven't been doing that you would like to be doing based on your partner? Like, whatever that may be. Do you want to go on a trip? Do you want to, take up a new sport or something? Like, really take a moment with yourself and ask, is there something that I'm not doing because I'm with this person? And if I started to do it, and choose that, really choose it. Number 3, I'm going to say too, one of the things I notice in our classes and all the clients that we deal with is the sex life. It's like, is there something with sex that you would like to play and explore that you haven't been asking? And what if you actually met up with your partner, opened up a bottle of wine or something and said, hey, you know what, I'd like to talk about this or explore more, and be okay if the person says no. But the couples thing, I see so many times that they become really complacent with their sex life. And I'm sorry, sex can be so much fun and it's so great, and bodies love to touch each other. So what if that could be greater too?
Great. Fantastic.
Can I steal that one? Can I have that as my number 3?
Okay, that's one of yours. You got 2 more.
Can I put Simone? Can I put your number 3 as my number 1?
Yes.
I would say, in adding to that, so many, but I would say have a look at, get honest with yourself and have a look at, where am I doing expectation? Look at the places that you're doing expectation of your partner and go, okay, so where am I not willing to be that or have that myself? Because I've seen where I've done it, and created expectations in relationship, and it creates the separation and the judgment between you. I would say look at that. Also, fun. It's got to be fun. And I do get, that doesn't mean that every day is going to be a wonderful joyride, but add those elements of fun to it. You know, whatever that is, it can be like something quirky, like do something enjoyable together. The other thing I would say too is be willing to know when you were screwed up. You know, go, you know, I'm sorry. I was being a total shit there. I apologize. Like, how can I make up for the damage that I've done sincerely, you know, and apologize. And even if you have to do that all the time to actually get present with when you see, because the thing that we do too is you'll say one thing, but then you'll want to be right, and you want to be like, so you'll keep going, you know, and then it takes one thing that you could have just stopped and went, you know what, that was me being a shit. You'll take that for the next 10 weeks trying to prove that you were right from having one point of view.
I love the way Cameron's
Not that
nodding
I'm saying that to the ladies out there at all.
Have you
I wouldn't mean to any of the women out there listening to this.
Yeah, I was going to say, have you been listening to our conversations, Brendon?
Just
I'm one of the things I'm really good at is observing. So I like to sit back and pay a lot of attention to the way people function. Let's just pick up a few little tips.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah, that being giving up the need to be right. I've spoken a lot about that in hours on this throughout this podcast, and it's been a massive learning for me. It's just going our kids often talk about how his dad mansplaining again, you know, and how to do stuff, and it's like, okay. So my shift of giving up of the need to be right has moved from Alison more onto the kids, and now I've got now I'm putting it onto the dog. And we got two of them, so that's all right.
And seriously, hats off to you guys for having conversations like that. Like that is, it's something that a lot of people do not talk about.
Yeah.
It's like that is a huge thing. Like if you could get over rightness in your relationship, the need to be right in your relationship, you would have a totally different relationship.
Yeah.
Totally different. That one thing would be massive.
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
This has been a massive conversation. This has been really great. It's a fantastic way to start the year. I will say that amidst this, you know, what we've got around us and all the fact that we are so out of control at the moment in our world, and that if I feel out of control on the outside, I try and control on the inside, and so, but to have this as a reference point for the start of 2022, this is our first one we've done, and for the new year, and what a wonderful way to start. And thank you for your generosity and your vulnerability and
your honesty.
Yeah, it's so lovely, and it's surprising actually. I was not sure what was going to happen today. I was like, how does this work? How does this work? And so I was very curious to meet you both. So
cool.
Thank you for having us here. It's been great. Thank you so much.
Oh, boy, there were some amazing gems in there. Amazing gems. I kept on thinking about Gwyneth Paltrow and Chris Martin doing their conscious uncoupling.
I remember that.
And going, what on earth is that? And I feel like these two have just explained it. They've just explained what it is to break up in a conscious way and a kind way. And but also all those tips about relationships and keeping it, you know, we've had so many podcasts talking about how to stay together and what are some tips, but they came from such a great perspective. It's really interesting.
Yes, I loved what they had to say. I loved their 3 tips at the end, and this idea of maintaining as opposed to creating.
Yeah.
And keep that creation going.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really good. All right, we're out of time, and it's very hot in here. It's getting hot in here.
Yeah.
You're looking good, bro.
There is another line from that song, but we'll... All right. Thanks so much for listening. I hope that there was something in there for any of you listening. You'll find all the information that you need in the show notes. Again, if you want to follow us, we're Brahe-Daddo on Instagram, and
I'm at Brahe-Daddo on Instagram.
Yeah, we have a Facebook page. There's a Nova podcast, official Instagram you can follow as well, with lots of other great podcasts that there's going to be a lot of great stuff coming out from Nova this year.
There is. Yeah. And just remember Simone and Brendon's book. It's called Relationship. Are You Sure You Want One?
Yeah. Thanks so much for listening.